What's going on, my fellow collectors? Jim here with another figure review. Tonight, let's take a look at the Mezco 112 Frankenstein. This is the PX Previews exclusive version. Packaging is, fairly basic. It's just black. We do have some cool font that says Frankenstein here. We do have this little icon down here that says Universal Studios, home of the original monsters. Of course, this is the Previews exclusive. We got the 112 Collective. Top, you got the 112 Collective. Bottom, you got that. On the sides, you basically just have, the same Frankenstein. And this is embossed a little bit. It's kind of raised all around here. And of course, this is a slip cover, so you pop that off. The back of this actually shows off the exclusive version, which is basically just the green on the skin. And then there is another version, which is actually just, all kind of giving it that like classic black and white version. I kind of went back and forth. I kind of wanted to get this, and then I saw the exclusive and thought, a little bit of color might make it pop a little bit. But unlike the kind of older Mezco figures, we do have this magnetic flap. Opens up, we got the Frankenstein again. And on the inside, we got some cool images of Herman Munster there. You have the figure behind the clam. So I'm very excited to pop this figure open and take a closer look. Okay, and here he is all out of the packaging along with everything that we do get with this figure. And it's not much. I know this is quite an older figure, and I definitely have some issues with it, but overall it's a nice piece. I actually picked this guy up for like under $50 shipped. And I kind of noticed that across the board he was coming in at a pretty low price. So I don't know if maybe it's just one of those figures that wasn't selling and a lot of the stores are just trying to, get rid of it. But, it is a very iconic character. I remember sitting up with my mom at night watching Nick at Night and watching this show. It wasn't one of my favorites at the time. And of course, it was in black and white. But, Frankenstein is definitely a very iconic character, and I thought, go ahead and pick him up for the horror shelf. There's two versions of this. You do have the, exclusive version, which I have here, that kind of has this green skin tone to it, or you can get the regular version, which is like a, black and white style, like he was on the screen at that time. Now, as far as accessories, we do get the Mezco 112 bag. So that's always awesome. He does come with, the kind of standard stands that we get for Mezco. This is done really nice. We got some kind of cool design on here with the electricity going across in these little pipes that are in the side of his neck, right? And then we do have the, flight stand, and you can either put the figure on the peg with the peg holes on the bottom, or you can take this part and pop that out. Put the arm in there, and this does, swivel at the bottom. Hinges right there, swivels right there, and you do have the clamp. Now, as far as accessories, we do get these shackles. And these are done, nice for the most part. There's a real chain in the middle. The shackles themselves, or like the brace part of the shackles, are basically just done in a black plastic. And they do have, open and close with a little kind of like, peg mechanism there. So that is very cool. Now, instead of hands, he comes with actual like forearms. And so we do get a pair of these kind of forearms hands that kind of have that, classic coming at you Frankenstein look. And these are done really nice though. I really like the sculpt and I like the paint. I'm glad I went with this kind of greener skin tone. It does look really nice, in hand. But we get some nice kind of sculpted veins on there. And I like what they did with the fingernails. They have like this really kind of black shading going all around the fingernails. It looks really good. Of course, we have some details here. We kind of have like the, his little cuts like he's been put together. Oh, losing focus there. But these are really cool. So we do get a pair of those. He does come with this head sculpt, which I think looks really good. Now, I don't know if Mezco was going off the actual look of the actor himself who played Herman Munster on the show. I don't know. I mean, it kind of looks like him. So I'm going to say they did, because, they did have the licensing to do that. But, I mean, it does look like him for the most part. I like the sculpted wrinkles that we get around his eyes and on his forehead. And his expression on this one is okay for the most part. The teeth came out decently. I like his little, you know, cut right here. That turned out really nice. And of course you have the classic, you know, bolts sticking out of his neck. The hair is sculpted nice. Not a lot of really sculpted detail in it. More or less just kind of like on the sides. The rest of it's pretty plain. There's a little bit of sculpted lines in there. But yeah, really cool. I like the eyes. They turned out really nice. And then you have the head sculpt that comes on him out of the packaging. And this one's pretty, you know, bland looking. But, you know, I guess it suits Frankenstein for the most part. It's very serious looking. Again, we get that nice sculpt and nice kind of, you know, black shading on the creases of the wrinkles on his face. We get this same scar here, but then another cut here on the side. And the hair is basically sculpted the exact same, just the expression is different. And looking at the rest of the Frankenstein here, he does come with his classic, you know, black sports coat. This is done in kind of like a very soft cloth, and then his undershirt is kind of like a stretchy spandexy material. And I don't know if it's two different shirts. I don't think it is. I think they just put white up here to kind of mimic that, you know, undershirt that he had on in the show. But the jacket's, you know, tailored nice for the most part. I mean, it does have some kind of like, you know, fake pockets here. And we get like some fake buttons here on the side. And then we got his pants, which again are done very plain. Definitely had some high waters. And the boots I think look good for the most part. I mean, they're pretty plain, but just a little bit of sculpting detail in there. I think they turned out really nice. He does have two peg holes coming up the back of the figure. Some like lint on it already. But yeah, I think overall the figure looks really nice, but you can tell it's definitely, you know, older Mezco style. And now the one big issue I have with at least mine right off the bat is, so we have the big, you know, ball peg for the neck, and it fits on the ball just fine, but then after that there's all that looseness. I mean, like the head is completely floppy loose on that ball peg. So I don't like that at all. And there's not a lot of movement with that peg either. We don't get too much movement. But it's just really, really floppy loose on the head. So it's very, very annoying. As far as his arms, you can get him up about that much. Of course, that does go forward and back. It's very hindered because of the jacket, of course. You do have about double jointed elbows. They'll give you about that much range. And you can see where you can swap off the forearm part by just gently pulling off. And that's actually on there by just a big kind of mushroom peg. And then you can put the other set of hands on there. So now you have that, you know, Frankenstein coming at you look. Of course, there is that will go up and down. You know, of course, that swivels all the way around. You do have rotation, of course, where that peg is. There's no biceps rotation, and there's no butterfly joint. He does have a crunch. He'll crunch over about that much. Crunch back about that much. You do get nice kind of side to side pivot. And I think it's, you know, there is a cut here like in the diaphragm, so you get nice, you know, forward and back or swivel there, side, kind of all around motion there. Then you get, of course, that same movement at the waist. But I mean, with both of the joints, you get pretty nice all around movement. As far as the legs, they're only going to come out about that much, go forward about that much, back. You do have a thigh swivel, double jointed knees, come up about that much. And of course, for the boots, all you're really going to get is rotation, because it's all just one solid boot. So no pivot, no, you know, up and down, no hinge. That's another kind of, you know, disappointing part. Now, as far as putting the other head sculpt on, this one fits a little bit better for me. I mean, it's not as loose as the other head sculpt is, but it's still pretty loose on that ball joint. I don't know why they would design it like that, but This one does fit a little bit more snug on the neck, but you do get, you know, side to side, you get pretty much all around motion on that. You're only going to get about that much down, about that much up. But I mean, at the end of the day, it is a pretty cool figure. You know, I'm definitely glad to add it to the collection, especially at the, you know, price point. I mean, that's not bad, 50 bucks for a Mezco 112 figure. I mean, I can kind of see why this figure might not have sold very well, because a lot of people knew about some of the issues that it did have. But I mean, it still makes a nice, you know, it's still a nice representation of such an iconic classic character like Frankenstein up on your shelf, you know, up on your horror shelf. Now, as far as a measurement, it looks like to the top of his head, he is about a little bit under 6 3/4 inches tall. Now, I know Herman Munster, the actor that played him, he was a tall dude. I'm not sure his exact height. I'm sure somebody knows. But I know he was definitely a tall fellow. So I don't know if Mezco, you know, has him at the right scale or not. As far as some other Mezco figures, here he is next to the Tiger Stripe Wolverine. Of course, that's a pretty good size there. You know, he's definitely going to tower over Wolverine. Here is the Red Skull Mezco. So here's a couple Mezco figures. And as far as some NECA figures, here is the Jason. So as you can see, I think within your NECA line, he's definitely out of scale, way too short. And here's a NECA Freddy. So it's just a little size comparison between some, you know, NECA horror figures. But yeah, guys, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I mean, I'm happy with it, of course. I'm going to, you know, display it proudly up on the shelf, up, you know, on the horror shelf. I think it makes a really nice piece, especially for the price point. You know, I like how we have a little bit of, you know, this green hint to the skin. I think it makes it pop a little bit. You know, I'm not sure what the black and white version looks like. I think it's just a much grayer skin tone. I mean, overall, it's a pretty cool little figure. It's going to look good up on the shelf. I mean, yeah, you're not going to get a lot of, you know, ankle pivot or any kind of movement with the feet at all. But I haven't had too much trouble with him standing. And I mean, you're really not going to get him into too many crazy poses either. It's kind of hard to even get him in that kind of classic pose because he doesn't really have like a butterfly joint. But I mean, he does have, yeah, he has enough movement to get him in that classic coming at you pose. But yeah, guys, that was a look at the Mezco 112 Frankenstein figure. This is the PX Previews exclusive version, which just has like the kind of, you know, greenish hue to the skin. Now, I don't think he glows in the dark. Let me check though, because that would be awesome. Turn off some lights here. Yeah, I don't think he glows in the dark. I mean, might as well just turn them all off, huh? No, he doesn't seem to be glowing in the dark. That would have been really cool, though, if he did glow in the dark. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next figure review.